Hello, welcome back to another episode of 0 to 60. Now, hopefully this will be helpful to someone. I've been very busy working on, basically, the main thing is CAN bus. I'm trying to get my head around decoding the E90 CAN bus and then doing useful things with the CAN bus. Mainly an aftermarket dash cluster. But unfortunately, CAN bus is a very valuable bit of knowledge, so everyone that's properly decoded it doesn't really share the information, and doing it the old school way is just taking a long time. But in the process, I managed to break this lovely vehicle. So this is the Flomax car. Let's get in out of the rain. And you can see I've got my CAN bus sniffer in there. I will do a video on test and tune on how to use this cheap CAN bus sniffer and how to get it to connect to an E9X car so that you too can play around with your CAN bus data. But long story short, I was playing with this the other day, trying to get that to work actually, just trying to get it to connect to the car. It took, I'm not kidding, about 7 hours. And it was just down to that unit was actually faulty out of the box and it needed a hard reset. I'll talk about it on the other video. However, because I was playing around with the car, I was starting it, turning it on and off, starting it. And I think when I've started it, it's actually turned the battery charger off and it's allowed the voltage to drop right down. Now, I didn't actually realize, I didn't have the dash cluster in at the time, but I think the voltage got right down to about 7 volts. Well, it was 7 volts when I realized. And if you're familiar with E90 modules, when you get low voltage, you can brick them. Now, it took me a little while to work out. I thought it was the CAN bus sniffer causing this no start issue. But I connected ISTA up and it got a hell of a lot of fault codes. I cleared all the fault codes, but it will not clear the fault code with the transmission. Let me show you what it's doing, but yeah, basically I broke it and it won't start now. So we'll turn the dash on. Everything's fine there. We don't get any weird errors, but foot on the pedal, try and start it. And it does nothing. We don't get any sort of sign of anything happening. So I scanned it with ISTA. It actually come up with a CAS fault, as in a communication fault with the CAS, cleared the errors, and then the CAS come back up in ISTA, but I cannot get the transmission to come up in ISTA. So I hooked up XHP. Now, XHP must connect the transmission differently to ISTA, which is kind of weird. I don't understand how they're talking, but XHP told me that the transmission is now missing the coding. So I think what I've managed to do by flattening the battery and basically hurting the module, it's removed the factory coding from the transmission and it doesn't know what car it's in. The issue with that is the DME won't be getting the park or neutral signal to allow the car to start. And I think that's what's happening. So it doesn't actually there's no errors on the car, but it doesn't actually trigger the start because I don't think the DME realizes it's a neutral. So let's hook up. I've got my Beamer retrofits cable, which had a bit of a workout lately between trying to fix somebody else's transmission on the weekend as well. We'll hook it up and we'll see if we can code it with NCS. All I'm going to do is do a factory code. I've definitely planned this well, and we'll see if we can get the car to start. If we can, it'll make a video that might be helpful to some people, and if not, I'll keep learning. Okay, we'll get the car started up. But basically, I think if you've had a flat battery, which is pretty common with these things if you leave them parked up, it would be very easy to cause this issue with your own car. I did actually talk to one of the 0 to 60 members, and they mentioned that they had a similar issue with their DME. They flattened the battery and the DME lost its coding. All they did was reflash it with MHD and it come back to life. But yeah, the DME actually seems fine. It's not reporting any errors. So I've got my lovely laptop of wizardry here. We're going to use NCS Expert. Just let that load. In fact, I'm going to switch over to the other camera because I know the GoPro struggles to see this screen. Won't be 2 seconds. Okay, here we go. So we're going to load the load profile. I'm just going to load default profile. Doesn't really matter. Then we go choose ECU. No, sorry, that's the wrong thing. Go VIN. And then we go ZCS FA ECU. It is a E89. We're going to read the CAS. So what this basically does, it'll read the VIN number from the CAS, and that should allow it to generate the vehicle order. I do get errors on this. I need a better laptop for this sort of stuff, but it should get us out of trouble. Although it didn't load the vehicle order. Let me try that again. We may have an issue here. Maybe I did damage the CAS. Or maybe... Okay. What have we done here? Oh, you know what it'll be? Okay, so this is something else that might be helpful to some people. For some reason, when I connect my BIM tool, or even some other devices that run on the same COM port, I have this issue with the Windows laptop where it doesn't actually allow the ISTA cable to read the module. So let's just check what the issue is. USB serial port, COM port 3. Now COM port 3 is what the CAN bus reader has been working on, and the issue is the latency. Latency time is 16, so you just got to drop that latency back down to 0. This is something that took me also a long time to work out a little while ago. Basically, when that latency timer is wrong, it struggles to connect to some modules. Okay. Let's go back and we'll try and load that vehicle order again. There we go, we've got the VIN. Okay, and we've got the vehicle order. So now we have that, we can go back, and then we want to process an ECU, and I want to process the EGS. Now this isn't actually a transmission tune, this is just all the settings which configure the gearbox to work in this vehicle. So basically let it know it's got this type of paddle, that type of shifter, that it's an N54, blah blah blah. Let's execute job. Coding active. The car is currently on a charger, by the way. Coding ended. Okay, now something that you do have to do with NTS is basically let everything go to sleep. So we'll power the car down, I'll switch back to the GoPro and we'll see if it'll start. Oh, it is hot. Okay, so I tried to start it and it didn't start. I'm just loading up ISTA again. We do actually have communication with the EGS now, but it is in a fault status. So let's see what the fault actually is on it. Oh my god, this whole CAN bus debacle has turned into a much bigger job than I thought it would have been, and I think it's mainly because I flattened the battery. Don't flatten your BMW battery, it's bad. Okay, hopefully that's enough time for it to take the coding. Let the car wake up. Why isn't the CCC coming on? What have we done? There it is, okay. Turn the ignition back on, foot on the brake. Still doesn't start. What have I done here? Okay, I'm going to scan it with ISTA, see what other errors there are. Okay, so it's just done the fault check. The EGS is now back into ISTA. It was coming up red before, like whatever that module is, which means ISTA had no communication, but it's now communicated. The fault is gone, but we now have other issues. Okay, CAS engine starter operation is faulty. So we weren't getting that before. Let's see what the test plan is for that. And it's now raining in through the little crack in the sunroof. Okay, no fault code. Is it going to tell me how to fix it? Calculate test plan. Oh, it's going to calculate it for everything. Terminal 50 at CAS. What have I done with this low voltage? Okay. I'll do some reading. I'll come back to you. Well, it is a new day. Now, I think I got it on the camera yesterday, but the fault code has gone from the gearbox. So we fixed the gearbox issue, which I'm confident was causing it to not start. And we now have an issue with, well, there's a fault in the CAN bus. Now that fault, which I'll flash up on the screen again, I've forgotten the exact code, it implies, from what I can tell, that the starter motor is faulty. So this will be a bit of a amazing one. We've managed to flatten the battery, brick the transmission, and destroy the starter motor all in one go. So that's pretty good. Unfortunately, because I've got this intake manifold on, it's a bit hard to even get to the signal wire. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take the pod filters off and just see if I can get to the signal wire to make sure the CAS is still sending the signal to turn the starter motor over. If not, I'll take the starter motor off. But when I actually get somewhere, I'll give you guys an update. But this is turning into a bit of a drama. Don't let your E90 batteries go low. Alright, so it's about 4,000 degrees today, hence the shade sail little thing that I've just put up. I managed to take the rear pod filter off, and then I've got the starter solenoid power wire there. I've just got dodgy earth set up, but if we can test that, which I can't do until I get in the car, at least it will give us an indication if it is the starter motor that's faulty, because if that is sending the signal to the starter, we will know that it's the starter. And just the starter's not working for some reason. Could be an earth. Maybe the starter died. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that there. It's at 0.02 volts. And we'll push the starter button. That's starting, and 11.5, 11.6. Shit. So, that means the starter's got to come off. Oh my god, it's so warm. Oh my. Right. I'll stop complaining and I'll get to work. Intake manifold off. The most annoying part is we've got this port injection rail up here, so that means we've got to disconnect the fuel lines just to get to the start. Oh my god. See you guys in a sec. Well, it's finally off. My god, whose idea was it to put port injection manifold on this thing? Everything was super tight to get into, but we have got it off, and I'm guessing that was actually the original starter motor on the car, because the bolt that was in the back on the gearbox side was a pain in the ass to get off. Anyway, I've got the starter in here, and I've already started testing them because I just wanted to make sure it was going to go right. So this is the one that's just come off the car. And we push the starter, we get nothing. And if I jerry-rig my little tester over to this one here has actually come off of my convertible car, the E93 that's sitting out there. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Come on, grab your little tab. And this one, I'm guessing has been replaced. It looks fairly new. That's what it should do. So yeah, the one that's on the car had died. Bloody typical. I am dripping with sweat, by the way. I royally cocked this up. So this, I don't know if I explained it in this video. It's been filmed over a few days now. Basically, I was doing CAN bus testing, and I was turning the car on and off, on and off, on and off, and basically starting it to check the RPM signal over the CAN bus, or try and find the RPM signal. And what had happened was the battery charger or the tender that was on the car had gone flat, and it wasn't until I went to start it one time and it's just gone brrr. And then I realized that the battery was going flat. But I'm guessing that the low voltage maybe has what's killed this, because I was basically trying to start the car with super low voltage. I don't know. It does rattle now as well. Who knows? All right. I'll go back to the heat and I'll get the new second-hand one on the car, put it all back together and see if we can start it. Oh, she's warm. Right. Intake manifold's on, throttle body's on, and that's all I really need. Like, I should remind everyone, this engine has actually got low compression, so I've literally just done all this to play with the CAN bus and to be able to move the car around. It won't be making any boost, so I'm probably going to leave all that stuff off. It should operate fine without it on. I have the secondary fuel pump power wire here, and you guys might pick up on it. You can just hear the fuel reg ticking over. So we're good. We've got no fuel leaks on the port injection. Moment of truth. Let's see if it starts. Man, it's crazy that this all started as, oh, I've got a spare hour. I'll just see if I can get onto the CAN bus and what it's turned into. Breaking everything. Story of my BMW life. That's all it was. Right, so to summarise, the most important thing with your BMW, actually I'll stay in the car, I'll be a bit quieter, don't let the batteries go flat. If you're doing anything with the electronics like I was, where you're continually starting the car, make sure you keep an eye on the voltage, because it was the battery going low that I think killed the starter motor, cleared the transmission. I think I said at the start, but yeah, the transmission was not coming up on ISTA at all, and it had lost all of its coding. What a bloody nightmare. Alright, and please go and check out Test and Tune, because the video on the CAN bus will be up soon. This is just a cheap eBay CAN bus analyzer, but it did not work out of the box and it needs to be reset, so I'll talk about that and show you guys how to get your CAN bus starter if you want to get into the development. And the reason I want to get into it is to learn a few more things about the transmission swaps, how the Lamec controller is connecting with the car, and I also want to get a upgraded dash cluster sorted, whether it's like a full race pack dash or something OEM looking. I need some more information coming to my eyeballs when we're thrashing these things to try and avoid doing the thing that I did where I blew the motor up. Yeah, lots of little things working on, slowly learning everything. We'll see you guys shortly.